In the first live-action Fantastic Four movie, Johnny says that Reed always thinks and never acts. Here, Reed Richards acts, but he never explains what he's doing or why he's doing it. He half-heartedly apologizes to Ben, Sue, and Johnny for leaving them in the lurch like that, and until the third act, Ben just tells him to piss off. Johnny and Sue don't seem to have any issues with him. And the less I say about the last scene in this movie, the better. Basically what I'm getting at is, none of these motherfuckers are on the same page here, in-universe or behind the scenes. At the time of this recording, Marvel Studios now holds the movie rights to Fantastic Four, so it's possible that they might make a better Fantastic Four movie than the three that we've gotten, but I'm not exactly holding my breath. As a Fantastic Four movie, Fan4stick is anything but fantastic. As far as which Fantastic Four movie is better than the other, if you want a good Fantastic Four movie, the correct answer is still The Incredibles. Those motherfuckers get it. Number 8. Men in Black International from 2019. This is Men in Black. This is also Men in Black. It's very, very different, but it's still very much Men in Black. This is Men in Black International. One of these things is not like the other. The first Men in Black movie is a certified hood classic, and I have to say, that is not a statement I use lightly. All three of these movies are decent standalone movies, though they're not telling one story necessarily. But in terms of character development, charm, humor, and excitement, it goes without saying that the first Men in Black movie knocked it out of the box. And quite frankly, to compare Men in Black International to the first Men in Black movie, let alone the trilogy as a whole, feels a little bit like comparing Grey's Anatomy to The Incredible Hulk. No, not that one. This one. It does not work. Mind you, I don't watch Grey's Anatomy at all, but I have a feeling it's not that clean with its humor. In theory, while I like the idea of focusing on other agents besides Agent J and Agent K, in execution, the new MIB agents in this franchise feel more than a little generic. So the plot, if you can call it a plot, opens with a little girl named Molly Wright witnessing an alien Tarantian rummaging through her family's garbage cans. This catches the attention of Molly's parents, who are subsequently neuralized for their troubles by the MIB. One problem though. They forgot to neuralize the girl. Molly ends up befriending the Tarantian and allows him to escape. Since then, Molly, played by Tessa Thompson, has spent the last 20 years trying to track down the MIB and see how it works. I wish I was kidding. And the way she goes about accomplishing this is galactically stupid. First off, Molly applies for several law enforcement jobs, not one of whom seems to have a clue about who or what the hell she's after. And then, at her day job, Molly gets a lead on a spaceship landing in an alleyway where the MIB are tracking its movements. Wow, that's lucky. It's a good thing the alien happened to arrive on that day, or Molly would have been way, way, way screwed. But that comes later when Molly follows them and the captured alien back to MIB headquarters in a taxi. Ugh. And very soon after that, Molly is caught by security and is almost neuralized herself. She stops them by saying it took her 20 years to track them down, and she tells Emma Thompson that she wants in. And just like that, she's a member of the Men in Black now. Hey, remember in the first movie when Detective James Edwards had to be tested on his motor skills, deductive reasoning, and outside-the-box thinking? Remember when Agent K wanted to recruit him specifically because he ran down a cephalopoid on foot like he's a damn marathon runner? Remember when Agent J had to earn being a Men in Black to the point where K decided to hand him the neuralizer? Well, apparently Men in Black International doesn't, because the movie pretty much yada yadas how Molly was able to pass whatever test she apparently took off screen. Anyway, after that, Emma Thompson tells Molly that there might be a problem in the London branch of MIB. Yes, you heard me. The MIB has a London branch, hence the subtitle International. Good grief. And inside this London branch, we have Henry, or Agent H, who she's eventually paired up with, and High T, the London branch's equivalent of Zed. H is apparently one of the greatest agents in MIB London's history, or so the movie would have you believe. 3 years ago, he and Agent T apparently saved Paris from invading aliens called the Hive, quote, with nothing but their wits and their Series 7 deatomizers, whatever the hell that is. He's also, if you couldn't tell, a bit of a dumbass and a glorified skirt chaser. Molly and H are tasked with investigating the death of a Jababian prince that might be connected to the Hive, who, as luck would have it, are searching for an alien weapon that could wipe out the entire universe. But much more importantly, there's a mole inside the London branch of MIB. I'll give you all 5 guesses as to who it is. You ain't slick, Men in Black International. I'm from the 31st century, motherfucker. Have you noticed anything missing from this story? There's no depth. Look, nothing against Chris Hemsworth, but the man is extremely awkward when it comes to improv, and I'm sorry, but he's just not funny in this. Henry, or Agent H, literally has nothing going for him. Motherfucker thinks he's Han Solo, but I don't, and he never knows when to take things seriously. Simply put, his character is a moron, and the movie uses the fact that he was neuralized 3 years ago to justify his being a moron. I'm sorry, that's generally not how neuralizers work. The neuralizer erases memories, it doesn't lower intelligence. By that same token, Tessa Thompson is too deadpan here. Molly literally joins the MIB because she has nothing better to do with her time. You may be wondering why I keep referring to her as Molly instead of Agent M, and I promise, it's not for the reason you're thinking. It's not because I want this guy to be Agent M. I don't. This thing pisses me off so much that I don't even want to say his name. His ass ain't worth it. I'm sorry, Men in Black 2, but you do not get to put this thing in a Men in Black movie. Ever. That is a hostile act. I never want to see that bullshit again. I will fuck you up. No, the reason I'm against referring to Molly as Agent M is far more personal than that. And frankly, it's something I'd rather not get into right now. On that note, there are several scenes in this movie and several angles where Molly looks like this guy, right down to her hairstyle, and I found that distracting for a number of reasons, not the least of which being the fact that the celebrity in question has been dead for over a decade, all the controversy surrounding the celebrity in question, and the fact that the celebrity in question had an aforementioned cameo in Men in Black 2. Was that motherfucker supposed to be an alien? What the shit? Where he asked Zed if he could be Agent M. To which I say, kiss my ass. And why exactly do the Men in Black movies feel the need to make every actress in this series with dark hair have to be even vaguely resembling this fool? Seriously, they did the same stupid shit with Agent L in the first movie, and they did it again with Laura Vasquez and Serlina, the villain, in Men in Black 2. You don't remember Serlina, do you? That's okay, I don't blame you. Speaking of which, the villains of Men in Black International are incredibly generic, which I suppose is par for the course with Men in Black movies, but Edgar and Boris were terrifying, and Serlina was incredibly sadistic. Here, the villains barely qualify as villains. Outside of very disturbing imagery, the twins, as antagonists, don't really add anything to the movie. They're just a poorly explained boss fight that's on repeat. And Rebecca Ferguson, who I generally like, is professionally wasted as Riza Stavros. A- for effort, though. As I mentioned earlier, there's a mole inside the London branch of MIB, and they try to make it look like it's Agent C, but it's painfully obvious that T is the mole. Look, there's only so many times you can try to pull an inside man on your audience before your audience starts to see through the illusion, and Men in Black International fails spectacularly. Though, speaking of failing, Number 7. The Ghostbusters Remake. Wait, hold on a second. Let me rephrase that. There we go. Number 7. GhostPhuckDatNoise from 2016. Yeah, I called it GhostPhuckDatNoise because for better or worse, I refuse to dignify this movie with being anything worthy of the name Ghostbusters. Would someone care to explain to me, how is it that the same guy who directed this well-crafted gem is the same person who directed this exploitive, half-assed, toxic, badly written SNL sketch disguised as a film? You made a loving, thoughtful, animated adaptation of Charlie Brown, Snoopy and Friends, and then you did a 180 and made this ugly-looking thing a year later. Now, good remakes are a dime a dozen. I've only seen parts of the original Ghostbusters. I haven't seen the whole thing all the way through, but I have it on good authority that it's leaps and bounds superior to GhostPhuckDatNoise. I haven't seen this movie, but what little I have seen tells me that it's trying to be a comedy and failing, irrespective of its nonsensical gender reversal. I would summarize the plot, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't really have one. It's just 2 hours of idiots f***ing around, like nobody's business. Wait, which one of these is the main character again? I don't remember. Let's get something out of the way right now. Melissa McCarthy is not funny. Kate McKinnon is not funny. Leslie Jones is not funny. Kristen Wiig is not funny enough.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Chris Hemsworth can occasionally be funny, but as I mentioned earlier, Men in Black International is not one of those times, and GhostPhuckDatNoise sure as hell isn't one of those times either. Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and bullshit? Forget about it. Because what F. Gary Gray, Taika Waititi, and Paul Feig, and Grace Randolph, somehow fail to understand is that Chris Hemsworth is not a damn improv artist. Again, Hemsworth can occasionally be funny, but the dude's not Chris Tucker or Ryan Reynolds. As far as I can tell, though you can probably see it coming from a yard away, the joke around Chris Hemsworth in GhostPhuckDatNoise is that his character is stupid. He's a dumb, hot nerd. That's the joke. And unlike Men in Black International, this excuse of a movie doesn't give any explanation for why he's this stupid. There's a reason, of course, but it's not an in-universe reason. The reason Hemsworth's character is this stupid in GhostPhuckDatNoise is to make the ghost huggers seem smarter, even though all four of them act like dumbasses. And here I was wondering whether or not I should even bring up this part.
But it's for children. Shut up. You guys liked Ghostbusters when you were younger. Let the children have their fun.
Okay, stop right there. In what parallel universe Earth is this offensive, mean-spirited, faux progressive, trash-ass, motion sickness bag of a movie acceptable for children? Have you lost your damn mind? No child should have to experience this nonsense. Do you want your children to end up like Joffrey Lannister? Because shit like this is how your children end up like Joffrey Lannister. I would not trust this movie within 300 yards of an elementary school playground, let alone show this SNL sketch to a child. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. I'd rather show my children Beast Machines. And let's be perfectly clear on this, as a standalone story, Beast Machines would make little to no sense, and probably creep you the hell out. And as a sequel to Beast Wars, it would make even less sense, while also creeping you the hell out. But at least that show knows what nightmare fuel looks like, which is more than I can say for this bag of vomit. TLDR, GhostPhuckDatNoise is not an appropriate movie for children of any age. Rated D for dumbass. Who you gonna call? Not these freaks. That's for damn sure. Oh, and word of advice. If you ever decide to watch Beast Machines as a Transformers show, not that I'd recommend it, mind you, I would advise against watching it back to back with Beast Wars. Because let's just say the seeds of that future are completely bass-ackwards. Number 6. Star Trek Into Darkness from 2013. Okay, time to put some more cards on the table. I have very mixed feelings about the Abrams Star Trek movies. Part of the problem that I had with Star Trek 2009 was the same problem I had with Casino Royale initially when it came to the Bond films. Namely, that it had been a while since I had seen a Star Trek movie that I liked, much less a Star Trek movie that was on the same level as Star Trek First Contact. In my personal opinion, the best damn TNG Star Trek movie, period. Star Trek Insurrection was so damn boring that if you were to ask me to describe the plot of Insurrection, I physically could not tell you because of how disjointed it feels. And don't even get me started on Star Trek Nemesis, which is easily the most offensive. Literally the only plot point in Nemesis that feels logical, let alone makes a shred of sense, is the wedding between Will Riker and Deanna Troi. Or perhaps I should say, their attempt at a wedding. Everything else that happens in that movie is just a toy. Needless to say, by the time Star Trek 2009 hit theaters, part of me felt a little burnt out with the series. Even the fact that it was supposed to be an in-continuity reboot that took place in the original series, or so you'd think, was barely enough to make me change my mind. Then I actually sat down and watched it for the first time, and I didn't think it was that bad. It was a decent movie. It didn't feel like it was trying to be Star Trek, but I think that's part of why I found it so charming. And although I'm not as familiar with the original series as your average Trekspert, I will admit there is something oddly prolific about putting Spock Prime in the movie and having him narrate the ending, followed by a reorchestration of the Star Trek theme over credits. Now, that's not to say that I think Star Trek 2009 is perfect. Nero's irrational hatred of Spock Prime for failing to save Romulus is about on the same level of stupidity as some other characters I could mention. It's also a little weird that half of these characters are even in the same class. Personally, I think Star Trek Beyond is the strongest of the three, but overall, the Kelvin trilogy is a mixed bag, with some things I like, some things I don't like, and some that confuse me to no end. Which of course brings me to the elephant in the room. Star Trek Into Darkness has gained some notoriety over the past few years, good and bad, as a movie that's more memorable for being a Wrath of Khan remake than it is because of anything that actually happens in the movie. In fact, I have a sneaking suspicion that 90% of the people who have seen Star Trek Into Darkness in theaters, or at all, probably don't even remember that Jim Kirk has a character arc about him not being ready for command yet, likely because they think it's irrelevant to the larger issues with the movie, specifically all the Wrath of Khan rehash. Speaking of which, I'm just going to throw this out there. Khan Noonien Singh should not have been in this movie. Period. There's a reason why whenever I refer to this version of Khan, I always refer to him as Khan Harrison. I never wanted Khan Noonien Singh to be in this movie, and I never wanted this to be Khan Noonien Singh in the first place.